Imagine the ocean, an endless turquoise expanse, its calm broken only by the rhythm of waves and the whisper of wind moving across the surface. Beneath that shimmering blue lies a world of mystery, a living realm humanity knows only in fragments. Through the lenses of underwater cameras, the tales of fishermen, and the studies of scientists, for millions of years, sharks have ruled these waters as guardians of marine ecosystems, creatures whose very presence sustains the delicate balance of oceanic life. They are not mindless predators. Every movement, every migration, every decision they make is part of an intricate strategy of survival shaped by evolution itself. Some shark species embark on extraordinary journeys, traveling thousands of kilometers across the world's oceans in search of food, breeding grounds, or favorable currents. Their migrations are anything but random. They sense subtle changes in water temperature, follow the Earth's magnetic fields, and detect faint chemical signals released by fish and plankton. Picture a hammerhead gliding along the coast of Australia, feeding in synchrony with its kin, moving in rhythm with the tides, the setting sun, and the pull of the moon, as if the ocean were a vast clock, and the shark its most faithful observer. But these migrations are more than a biological phenomenon. They are stories of strength, endurance, and fragility intertwined. Along their paths, sharks face obstacles invisible to most of us: shifting ocean temperatures, dense fishing nets, plastic pollution, and the piercing hum of sonar waves. Every kilometer they cross, every silent turn in the depths, is a balancing act between ancient instinct and the growing footprint of humankind. And yet, sharks are not merely players in nature's drama. They are its teachers. They reveal the hidden architecture of oceanic balance. Their presence regulates fish populations, prevents certain species from overbreeding, and protects coral reefs from collapse. Every strike, every hunt, though often feared by humans, is part of a larger harmony, a living network where nothing is accidental and even chaos follows its own rhythm. Against this backdrop unfold the stories that most deeply move us. Shipwrecks, unexpected encounters between humans and sharks, the tragedies of fishermen lost at sea. These moments shake our sense of control and remind us that the ocean's power is not ours to command. Sharks, though unaware of our fears and myths, become symbols of that power and of our shared responsibility. For every damaged reef, every polluted current, every disrupted food chain alters the lives of sharks and the pulse of the seas themselves, disturbing a cycle that has worked with near-perfect precision for millions of years. Sharks, the majestic predators of the deep, are masterpieces of evolution. Their anatomy and senses are honed to perfection for a world where every ripple of water can mean life or death. Their bodies, sleek and hydrodynamic, glide silently through both shallow and deep waters, propelled by crescent-shaped tails that deliver sudden bursts of power during the chase. Their skin, covered in microscopic dermal scales called denticles, reduces drag, creates a metallic sheen, and shields them from parasites. Every part of their being, from their flexible cartilage skeleton to their powerful muscles, works in perfect unison, allowing for the swift, precise movements that make them apex hunters of fish, squid, and sometimes even marine mammals. But it isn't just their form that makes sharks so exceptional. It's their senses. Their eyes, though seemingly simple, adapt effortlessly to both sunlit shallows and the dark, lightless depths. Some species possess a reflective membrane called the tapetum lucidum, amplifying even the faintest rays of light and allowing them to detect motion where nearly no light exists. Their sense of smell is legendary, able to detect a single drop of blood across several kilometers of ocean. Their nostrils act as chemical sensors, so refined they can track the invisible trails of prey through the open sea. Unlike bony fish, a shark's skeleton is made entirely of cartilage, light, flexible, and remarkably strong. This adaptation not only reduces body weight and improves buoyancy, but also acts as a natural shock absorber during the sharp turns and sudden bursts of pursuit that define their hunting style. The flexibility of their structure allows them to withstand forces that would cripple most animals, a crucial advantage in the shifting pressures of deep-sea currents and long migrations. In the dim, crushing depths where sunlight cannot reach even a few meters below the surface, most creatures rely on instinct alone. But sharks possess something beyond sight or smell, a sense humans can hardly imagine. Their true power lies in their ability to detect the faintest electric fields, subtle as the flicker of a single electron. This sixth sense, known as electroreception, makes them among the most extraordinary hunters nature has ever created. Living proof that evolution's finest designs are both beautiful and terrifying in their precision. On the surface of their skin, particularly around the snout, sharks possess the ampullae of Lorenzini, microscopic canals filled with a gel-like substance that conducts electricity. Each of these canals ends inside the body in a small sac containing nerve cells, which react to minute changes in the electric field of the surrounding water. A shark can detect differences in potential as small as a few nanovolts, a sensitivity so extraordinary that it allows it to see the heartbeat of a fish buried beneath a layer of sand or mud. For comparison, a human would require highly specialized laboratory equipment to detect such a signal under artificial conditions. A shark does this in a fraction of a second. This sense is not solely for hunting. The electroreceptors help sharks navigate the oceans, utilizing the natural magnetic field of the Earth. As a shark travels thousands of kilometers across open waters, its body functions as a biological compass, picking up faint electromagnetic impulses that indicate north and south, helping it return to the same feeding grounds after months or even years. This is why some species, like the great white or the hammerhead, can return year after year to the very same hunting areas, crossing half a planet with astonishing precision. The ampullae of Lorenzini are among the most sophisticated sensory organs in the entire animal kingdom. The gel-filled canals act as conduits, transmitting information about the smallest disturbances in the electric field of the water. When prey moves, its muscles generate minute currents, enough for the shark to sense its presence. In the darkness of the deep, where sight and hearing fail, the electrical sense becomes a tool of absolute dominance. Some species, like the hammerhead, have taken this sense to an extreme. Its wide hammer-shaped head is no accident of evolution. It is a powerful antenna, lined with thousands of ampullae of Lorenzini, allowing the shark to scan the seafloor like radar. Every twitch, every tiny electrical spark generated by creatures hiding beneath the sand is instantly detected. This is why hammerheads can hunt stingrays buried in the mud, prey invisible to any other predator. The electrical sense of sharks also serves as a form of communication with their surroundings. Though not communication in the human sense, some studies suggest sharks can respond to the electric fields produced by other individuals, helping them maintain distance or establish hierarchy within a school. It is a silent language of impulses, where each voltage change conveys information about presence, mood, or intention. Understanding this sense transforms how we perceive the oceans. To humans, water is a space limited by sight and sound. To a shark, it is a network of signals, invisible lines and fields that tell the story of every movement. In a world where human senses end at the surface, sharks see what we cannot even imagine. Their perception is almost metaphysical, combining touch, orientation, and electricity into a single experience that allows them to exist simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. As a shark glides through the depths, its body registers every impulse: the heartbeat of a fish, the flutter of a manta ray's wings, even the electric shadow of a sunken metallic wreck. This is not merely hunting. It is a dance with the ocean, where every signal matters and every pulse is part of the symphony of life beneath the waves. Shark hunting strategies are as fascinating as their senses. Some species, such as the tiger shark, are opportunistic predators, feeding on anything they encounter, from fish to seabirds, and even organic debris floating on the surface. Others, like the great white, employ ambush tactics, waiting for the perfect moment, striking from below or behind cover, using contrasts of light and shadow to surprise their prey. Hammerheads, on the other hand, often hunt in groups, coordinating their movements in a surprisingly strategic manner, corralling schools of fish, and driving them into traps that make capturing individuals easier. Interestingly, sharks also exhibit learning and adaptability. Observations show they can modify their migratory routes, avoid threats, and even adjust hunting techniques depending on prey behavior. Their brains, though small compared to mammals, are highly specialized for sensory processing, allowing sharks to accurately judge distance, speed, and trajectory of moving objects, coordinating attacks with surgical precision. In this scientific yet mesmerizing world of sharks, there is no room for chance. Every trait, from body shape to the placement of sensory organs, serves a purpose in survival and ecosystem balance. Sharks are not just predators. They are regulators of ocean life, controlling fish populations and maintaining balance that, if disrupted, could have catastrophic consequences for coral reefs and entire food chains. Their anatomy and senses, combined with evolutionary wisdom and hunting strategy, make sharks some of the most extraordinary creatures on Earth. Their lives are an unending journey, where every movement, instinct, and decision matters for survival and the equilibrium of the oceans. Observing them, we begin to understand that the oceans are not just a body of water, they are a dynamic, intelligent world where even the most majestic predators live in subtle harmony with the rest of the ecosystem. Shark teeth are a fascinating example of evolutionary perfection, a tool that has allowed these predators to dominate the oceans for millions of years. These are not ordinary teeth. They are sharp, often serrated, and triangular blades capable of slicing through the body of a fish, crustacean, or even a large marine mammal. Each shark species has its own collection of teeth, perfectly adapted to its diet and hunting style. The great white possesses massive, triangular teeth with serrated edges, capable of tearing flesh even from a large prey. The tiger shark has uneven, sharp teeth that can crush the hard shells of turtles or crabs. The hammerhead shark has narrow, sharp teeth, which allow it to catch fast fish and easily pierce networks of smaller marine creatures. Each tooth is the result of millions of years of adaptation and specialization. Shark teeth are constantly replaced, arranged in multiple rows. When one tooth falls out or is damaged during hunting, the next in line immediately takes its place. Some species produce thousands of teeth over their lifetime. This ensures that sharks are never unarmed and always ready to hunt, regardless of the losses they may have suffered. This continuous regeneration is one reason sharks have remained such effective predators for millions of years. Teeth also serve a scientific purpose. By analyzing bite marks on fish, marine mammal, or crustacean bones, scientists can reconstruct not only the diet, but also the behavior of predators, their impact on the food chain, and changes in ecosystems. Shark teeth thus become not only hunting tools but also journals of ocean life. Their shape, size, and arrangement testify to survival strategies and adaptation, illustrating subtle interspecies relationships. Some shark species have developed teeth for highly specialized purposes. Sand sharks have thin, needle-like teeth that perfectly grasp fish, but are useless against larger prey. Whale sharks, though enormous, possess tiny, finely serrated teeth, used mainly for filtering plankton and small fish. Their strategy relies on volume rather than cutting power. This shows that shark teeth are not merely tools for hunting, but also expressions of evolutionary creativity and environmental adaptation. Shark teeth also have geological significance. Fossilized teeth allow scientists to trace the evolution of sharks over hundreds of millions of years, track species migrations, and study oceanic changes that influence their adaptations. Each fossilized tooth is like a time capsule, helping us understand how these predators survived extinction events, climate shifts, and transformations of marine ecosystems. The story of shark teeth is also a story of their role in ecosystems. By regulating fish and other marine creature populations, sharks maintain balance in food chains. Each bitten individual, each crushed crustacean, is part of a subtle web of interactions in which shark teeth play a crucial role. Without their presence, marine ecosystems could become unpredictable, and populations of certain species could spiral out of control. Shark teeth are therefore more than just a predator's tool. They are symbols of survival, adaptation, and evolutionary intelligence. Each tooth tells a story of millions of years during which sharks perfected their strategies, adapted to changing oceans, and remained top predators. Observing these sharp, perfectly shaped structures, one sees not only danger but also the extraordinary wisdom of nature. A simple tooth becomes a testament to life, death, and the endless struggle for survival in the ocean. Shark migrations are a fascinating phenomenon, combining elements of biology, ecology, and evolutionary strategy. These predators are not passive ocean inhabitants. They are active travelers, covering thousands of kilometers in search of food, mating partners, and sometimes even optimal thermal conditions for the survival of their young. Some species, like hammerheads, travel hundreds of kilometers along coasts, precisely using ocean currents and temperature gradients that lead them to the most abundant fishing grounds. Others, like whale sharks, migrate thousands of kilometers across open seas, from the tropics to temperate latitudes, following seasonal plankton blooms, their food, in a precise, almost mathematical manner. Migrations are not random. Direction, pace, and length of travel are closely linked to the species' biological needs. Hammerhead sharks, for example, use the Earth's magnetic field to orient themselves in the ocean, detecting subtle changes in the magnetic field that act as a natural map, enabling them to find migratory routes and return to their birthplace each year. Great white sharks, in turn, combine various sensory strategies: smell, detection of electrical impulses from prey, water temperature changes, and ocean currents, allowing them to navigate precisely in open ocean spaces, where every kilometer matters for survival. Migrations also have deep ecological significance. Sharks are apex predators, and their movement across the ocean regulates populations of fish, crustaceans, and other marine creatures. In areas where sharks disappear, prey populations may grow rapidly, disrupting ecosystem balance. By moving along coasts and open seas, sharks ensure the stability of food chains, control fish populations, and contribute to the transfer of energy between ecosystems, from coral reefs to the open waters of the deep ocean. Some species also use migrations for reproduction. Great whites, hammerheads, and tiger sharks travel hundreds or even thousands of kilometers to reach specific nurseries, areas with optimal conditions for the birth of their young. There, the water is warmer, richer in food, and the risk of predation is lower. Juvenile sharks hatch in this environment, benefiting from natural shelters and abundant prey, increasing their chances of survival. This precise synchronization of time, place, and reproductive strategy is the result of millions of years of evolution and shows just how intelligent and sophisticated these predators' survival strategies are. Migrations also demonstrate sharks' resilience and adaptability. Some species traverse oceans where water temperature changes by tens of degrees depending on the season, and food resources are scattered across vast distances. Sharks can modulate metabolism, change swimming depths, and use ocean currents to conserve energy while maximizing hunting efficiency. This is not just physical strength. It is the result of subtle interaction with the environment, where every movement and decision is balanced and energy efficient. Juvenile shark migrations are equally fascinating. After hatching in hidden safe zones, young individuals often move along coasts or to deeper waters to avoid predators and find suitable food sources. These journeys teach them spatial orientation, use of ocean currents, and subtle environmental changes. Each migration is a process of learning and adaptation, preparing them for life in the often unpredictable ocean. Shark migrations also have a global dimension. Some species travel between continents, using entire oceanic networks as migratory routes. These journeys connect ecosystems from coral reefs to open seas, facilitating the exchange of energy, fish populations, and other organisms, while stabilizing biodiversity on a massive scale. This demonstrates that sharks are not merely local predators, but key players in global ocean systems, and their migrations are essential for maintaining the health and balance of our seas. Shark migrations are not only physical journeys, but also cognitive and adaptive processes. Through their extraordinary senses, spatial orientation skills, and ability to adapt to changing environmental conditions, Sharks show us how evolution creates survival strategies that are simultaneously efficient, complex, and beautifully harmonized with nature. Their journeys teach patience, precision, and the subtle balance between challenges and opportunities that the ocean presents to its predators. Marine disasters have fascinated and terrified humans for centuries, leaving a lasting mark in history, literature, and science. From shipwrecks to massive storms on open waters, these events reveal the fragility of human presence at sea, while simultaneously demonstrating the power of nature. In many such cases, sharks play a crucial role, though often dramatized in human imagination. Maritime accidents, from 17th century sailing disasters to modern container ship and tanker catastrophes, reveal both biological and ecological aspects of sharks' presence in the oceans. When a ship sinks, it leaves behind not only tales of tragedy and heroism, but also changes to the local ecosystem. Shipwrecks become artificial reefs, attracting fish, crustaceans, and other marine organisms. As apex predators, sharks quickly learn to exploit these sudden changes. Fish and organism remnants draw them to disaster sites. Throughout history, many documented cases show humans inadvertently observing shark behavior around wrecks, allowing scientists to study their adaptive responses to new food sources. Yet, in human imagination, such situations often transform into dramatic stories of hunting, predators shaping our cultural perception of sharks as fearsome creatures. Most famous maritime disasters in which sharks played a significant role include both historical and contemporary cases. One example is the sinking of the USS Indianapolis in 1945, after being torpedoed by a Japanese submarine, when hundreds of sailors were left in the water, exposed to shark attacks. Although the number of casualties was tragic from an ecological perspective, the water became a place of intense biological interaction. Sharks responded to the presence of easy prey, and scientists analyzing these events noted the extraordinary effectiveness of predators in adapting to sudden environmental changes. This tragic experience simultaneously demonstrates how sharks are an integral part of the oceanic food chain, and how quickly they can react to new situations. Ecological disasters, such as oil spills, also illustrate the role of sharks and other predators in restoring balance. In areas affected by chemical pollution, fish and plankton populations decrease, influencing shark behavior. Some species move in search of healthier ecosystems, while others remain and adapt their hunting strategies to the altered conditions. These dramatic changes show that sharks are not merely observers of disasters, but active participants in ecosystem processes, responding to both natural and human-induced catastrophes. Equally interesting are shark-related incidents that became starting points for research on predator behavior. Attacks on humans are extremely rare on a global scale, and most incidents occur in areas where ecosystems have been disturbed by human activities. Tourism, fishing, pollution, or habitat alteration. Analyzing these events allows scientists to understand how sharks respond to sudden stimuli, such as the presence of blood in the water, unusual movements, or large gatherings of animals. Such studies reveal the subtle balance between survival instinct and selective predation. Sharks do not regularly attack humans, but sometimes treat us as unaware elements of their environment, which in natural conditions would never pose a significant threat. History also shows maritime disasters that have changed not only the perception of sharks, but also local ecosystems. Sunken ships near coral reefs become habitats for fish and predators, including sharks, attracting life to previously less populated areas. On one hand, human disaster is a tragedy. On the other hand, from an ecological perspective, it is a moment of transformation and reorganization of marine life. The water around the wreck becomes a center of biological activity, where every element, from plankton to predators, finds its place in a new web of dependencies. This demonstrates that even in the face of tragedy, the ocean has the ability to regenerate, and sharks are key participants in this process. Shark incidents and maritime disasters also teach us about the need for ecological awareness. Observing these events allows a better understanding of how humans impact the oceans and how their actions change the behavior of predatory species. Every attack, every disaster, whether natural or human-induced, is a source of knowledge that can aid in shark conservation, sustainable management of marine resources, and minimizing conflicts between humans and nature. Ultimately, maritime disasters and shark encounters tell a story of the delicate balance of life in the ocean. It is a story of survival, adaptation, and continuous interaction between humans and nature, showing that the ocean is both a place of risk and extraordinary biological harmony. Sharks, although often depicted as fearsome predators, are primarily guardians of balance, participants in global ecological processes, and witnesses to the dramas that have shaped underwater life for millions of years. In the boundless expanse of the ocean, where every direction looks the same and the horizon blends with the water, the shark moves with the precision of a navigational instrument. It needs no maps, stars, or compass. It has its own, built into its body, shaped by millions of years of evolution. We call it the magnetic sense, though this term barely scratches the surface of its mystery. This extraordinary sense allows sharks to detect the Earth's magnetic field, an invisible network of lines wrapping the planet from pole to pole. For humans, this is an abstraction, something we cannot feel, see, or comprehend. For a shark, it is the language through which the ocean speaks. Every fragment of water, every current, and every depth has its magnetic signature, a kind of code that the shark can read. Thanks to this, it can return to the same place after years, swim thousands of kilometers across the emptiness of the ocean, and locate the reef where it was born with unerring accuracy. This sense is linked to the electroreceptive Lorenzini organs, a network of tiny pores on the shark's snout and head, filled with a gel-like substance that conducts electrical impulses. They register subtle voltage changes, both in the bodies of prey and in the surrounding electromagnetic field of the planet. For humans, a potential difference of a few millivolts would be imperceptible. For a shark, it is like a clear navigational sign, a pointer showing the direction to swim. For decades, scientists have tried to understand how this works. One of the most groundbreaking experiments occurred in 1997, when researchers placed juvenile sharks in tanks, simulating different magnetic fields. The animals immediately changed their swimming direction according to the magnetic signal, as if an invisible compass arrow lit up in their heads. Subsequent experiments in the open ocean showed that sharks can detect differences in magnetic field intensity so subtle that they would be equivalent to a change in latitude of just a few kilometers. In practice, this means that sharks use a map invisible to humans. Every part of the seabed, every variation in the Earth's topography, every ionic current in the water creates a unique magnetic pattern. The shark reads these signals like a GPS system, not digital, but biological, programmed by evolution. This is why species such as the great white can swim from Africa to Australia and return to the exact same location months later, accurate to within a few hundred meters. Some researchers compare this ability to an internal calendar and clock in one. The shark not only knows where it is, but can also anticipate changes in ocean currents and temperature based on subtle shifts in magnetism. This explains why it appears in the same locations at the same time each year, as if guided not by instinct, but by a precise plan. This magnetic orientation has limits and risks. Modern electromagnetic pollution, underwater high-voltage lines, sonar systems, and even electrically powered ships can disrupt the natural field, disorienting sharks. There have been cases where entire groups of these predators suddenly altered their migration routes or lost tracks that had been consistent for millennia. It is as if someone suddenly switched off their internal compass. Yet this biological sense remains one of nature's greatest wonders. It is proof that evolution does not work by chance, that every feature, every organ, is a response to the challenges posed by the ocean. In a world without roads or signs, sharks read the invisible lines of planetary forces, following their trail with a precision that humans can only dream of. From this perspective, one could say that sharks are not only rulers of the oceans but also their cartographers. They swim across an invisible map, whose contours are defined by the Earth's magnetism, connecting the past, present, and future in a single flow. It is in this quiet, invisible symphony of the magnetic field that their greatest secret lies. a perfect instinct that has guided them across the boundless world for millions of years. Deep in the oceans, where currents flow like the planet's breath, sharks have followed the same routes for millions of years. Their migrations are encoded in their genes, preserved through thousands of generations. For humans, these are invisible roads, lines on a map running across entire oceans, from the cold Arctic seas to the warm tropical lagoons. Every species has its own rituals of travel. Juvenile sharks are born in shallow waters. Adults return to the same places to give birth to the next generation. This cycle has continued uninterrupted since the time when dinosaurs roamed the earth. But today, this cycle is beginning to break. The changing climate is rearranging the invisible signs of nature. The ocean warms, and currents that have been stable for millennia begin to shift and change direction. For sharks, it is as if someone has suddenly erased the signposts that guided them across thousands of kilometers of open sea. Their compass, a delicate magnetic orientation system that allows them to sense the Earth's magnetic field, no longer works as it once did. The planet's magnetism itself is changing, and global warming affects currents and salinity, disrupting their natural cues. Sharks that for centuries migrated along the same routes are starting to lose their way. In recent years, marine biologists have observed something previously unseen. Species that have lived in the tropics for millennia are appearing further north. Hammerhead sharks off the coast of France, great whites in Canadian waters, tiger sharks in the Mediterranean Sea. The ocean is shifting, not physically, but climatically. Waters that were once too cold are now hospitable, and places that once teemed with life are increasingly empty. Some sharks are guided not only by temperature but also by the presence of prey. When fish change their migratory routes, predators must follow. But this leads to dangerous encounters, with humans, with fishermen, with nets. Waters that were once natural sanctuaries become traps. Warm currents draw sharks into areas with low oxygen, where chemical pollution weakens their senses. Scientists have also noticed something else. Sharks that previously lived far from civilization are increasingly appearing near coastlines, ports, and river mouths. This is not aggression but disorientation. The magnetic compass of their bodies is disrupted by networks of power cables, high-voltage lines, and even military sonar signals. For humans, this is barely noticeable. Background noise. For a shark, it is chaos. In the past, their migrations were like a natural clock, regular, predictable, tied to lunar cycles and water temperatures. Today, that clock ticks unevenly. As ocean temperatures rise, sharks mature faster, but their young have lower survival rates. Breeding zones shrink, and places that have served as safe nurseries for hundreds of years become too hot and too acidic for the new generation to grow. Some species, like the whale shark or the mako, traverse oceanic deserts in search of cooler currents. Their journeys, which once took months, now last longer, and energy reserves deplete faster. This is not just a matter of adaptation, but a race against time. Their physiology changes, metabolic rhythms adjust, and even social behaviors evolve. Biologists have discovered that some sharks are beginning to form temporary migration routes, provisional corridors of life that may survive only a few seasons before the ocean changes again. Yet the ocean, brutal as it is, can also be a teacher. Sharks that survived 5 major extinctions possess astonishing evolutionary flexibility. Their ancestors witnessed a world where Antarctica was a green island and seas covered continents. Perhaps this is why adaptation is ingrained in their nature. The question is whether the pace of changes imposed by humans today is too rapid even for the oldest predators on Earth. From the surface, the ocean appears calm and unchanging. But beneath that layer, a battle for orientation, rhythm, and survival is underway. Every shark that ventures into the deep follows something that was once certain, a path encoded in the Earth's magnetic field. And now that path is increasingly blurred. Their journeys, once perfectly synchronized with the cycles of the planet, have become a symbol of our age, a world losing its natural reference points. In the natural world, where the lives of most creatures are fleeting on an evolutionary scale, sharks are an anomaly. They are living relics, remembering oceans from 400 million years ago, a time when continents had different shapes and no trees grew on land. Their ancestors swam before the dinosaurs appeared and survived all 5 major extinctions. Yet their secret does not lie in strength or aggression. The true power of sharks lies in their genes, in the architecture of life that made them almost immortal. When scientists first began sequencing shark DNA, the results astonished even the most experienced biologists. Their genomes are far larger and more complex than humans. In some species, such as the great white and the Greenland shark, there is an exceptionally high level of genes responsible for DNA repair. In practice, this means their cells can fix errors that in other organisms would lead to cancer, mutations, or aging. It is as if their bodies have a built-in maintenance system that keeps internal balance for decades. The Greenland shark, living in the cold Arctic waters, is one of the most extraordinary creatures on Earth. Scientists have discovered it can live for over 500 years, making it the longest living vertebrate in history. Imagine a creature born when the Renaissance ruled Europe, still swimming in the same waters as human civilizations rose and fell. This is not a miracle, but biology on the edge of immortality. Its metabolism is extremely slow. The heart beats only a few times per minute, and aging processes occur almost in slow motion. But it is not just the cold waters and slow life rhythm. Sharks possess unique genetic mechanisms that regulate cell division and protect against telomere degradation, the ends of chromosomes that shorten with age in most organisms, leading to senescence. In sharks, this process is slowed or even reversed, allowing their tissues to regenerate even after decades. Some studies suggest that sharks may be the first large vertebrates for whom natural death from old age is not the rule, but the exception. Their immune system also resembles a work of perfection. Sharks produce specialized antibodies called nanobodies, extremely small yet exceptionally stable molecules capable of recognizing and neutralizing pathogens that other organisms cannot. Moreover, these antibodies function even under extreme conditions: high pressure, high salinity, and low temperatures. It is precisely these properties that drive scientists to study shark DNA, in the hope of developing new cancer treatments and future antibiotics. Equally astonishing is their resistance to infection and injury. Sharks can heal cuts and tissue loss with incredible speed. Marine biologists have observed individuals who, after serious injuries, even losing part of a fin, return to full fitness within weeks. The secret lies in their biochemistry. Shark bodies contain strong antibacterial compounds that prevent infection, even in murky, warm waters teeming with microorganisms. Some scientists believe their genetic stability is no accident, but the result of millions of years of evolution in the ocean, an environment that does not forgive weakness. Where every mistake can mean death, nature rewarded organisms that could not only defend themselves but also repair damage. As a result, sharks developed what could be called evolutionary self-regulation. Their bodies do not age in the typical way, but maintain a balance between degradation and regeneration. The Greenland shark is the most well-known example, but not the only one. Whale sharks can live over 150 years and great whites surpass 70. Compared to other large predators, this is almost unbelievable. Lions live 20 years, orcas 40, crocodiles up to 90. Sharks break records without any natural retirement mechanism. Yet despite this longevity, they are fragile in the face of a single predator: humans. Their slow metabolism and late maturity mean populations cannot recover from overfishing. Paradoxically, it is their evolutionary perfection. Slow life rhythm, long youth, late fertility, that has become their greatest vulnerability in the era of industrial fishing. Looking at sharks, we see more than predators. They are living genetic libraries, storing solutions to problems humanity is only beginning to confront. Cancer, aging, immune resistance, each is like a time capsule, holding 4 million years of biological wisdom. And if we ever learn to read this code fully, we may discover answers to the question that has haunted us forever. Must life age, Or have we simply not yet understood the balance that governs it? Before sharks became symbols of fear in cinema, before their fins cast shadows that chilled beachgoers, they were something else entirely. For ancient oceanic peoples, the shark was not a monster. It was a god, an ancestor, a spirit of the sea. Its presence signified power, but also balance. Only Western humans turned it into a monster. In the myths of Polynesia, Melanesia, Hawaii, and the Fiji Islands, the shark was a guardian of souls, a guide, and a keeper of cosmic order. In Hawaii, some sharks were believed to be aumakua, ancestral spirits that took the form of sea predators after death to protect their families. People prayed to them for safety during fishing, and when a shark appeared in the water, they did not flee. Instead, they offered fruits, fish, or taro leaves. The shark was not an enemy. It was an elder brother, ensuring humans did not forget their origins. In their beliefs, the ocean was a sacred organism, and the shark, its beating heart. In Samoa, sharks appear in myths as guardians of islands. One legend tells of a young couple fleeing their village to avoid forced marriage. When their pursuers reached the shore, they prayed to the gods for rescue. The ocean answered, transforming them into two sharks that from then on protect the island's coasts. Locals still believe that if someone asks these spirits for protection, the sharks will circle them but never attack. In Maori mythology of New Zealand, sharks also hold a special place. The legend of the hero Paikea, who survived a maritime disaster, recounts that a giant shark, a messenger of Tangaroa, the Lord of Oceans, saved him. From this story comes the Maori symbolic motif of shark teeth, niho mano, representing courage, determination, and survival ability. Today, in Polynesian culture, shark teeth motifs adorn warriors' tattoos, reminding that strength lies not in aggression, but in perseverance. Not only the Pacific Ocean saw divine power in the shark. In the ancient myths of the Philippines appears the spirit Katao, half human, half shark, who guarded the boundary between the human world and the depths. It was his duty to punish those who polluted the waters or killed more fish than they needed. This is an echo of ancient spiritual ecology, teaching respect for the ocean as a source of life, rather than a mere resource. In Mayan mythology, the shark symbolized chaos and the primordial power of waters. In the Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Maya, it appears as Tzipactli, a massive, tooth-filled creature dwelling in the waters, from whose body the gods shaped the world. This motif also appears in Aztec and Olmec cultures. The shark was not an enemy, but a raw force of nature, from which everything emerged. Its body symbolized the oceanic order and the unpredictability of life, reminding humans that they cannot control the sea. They can only coexist with it. In West Africa, sharks appear in the stories of the Yoruba people as guardians of the depths and intermediaries between the spiritual world and humans. In some versions of the myth of the deity Olokun, ruler of the ocean, sharks act as his messengers, ensuring that humans do not cross the boundary between the material and the spiritual realms. Meanwhile, in Japanese mythology, the shark appears as Samebito, a demon with green skin and eyes like burning coals, exiled from heaven and dwelling in the ocean. In one myth, Samebito saves a human from death, and his tears, emerald crystals, become symbols of transformation and compassion. It is a story of a creature that is not evil, only misunderstood, an echo of how Eastern and Western cultures perceived nature differently. It was the West, however, that created the image of the shark as a killer. In medieval Europe, where the ocean was considered a domain of demons, everything beneath the surface inspired fear. Only during the age of great geographic discoveries did sailors encounter real sharks, and it was then that the first accounts of devils of the deep, who devoured humans, appeared. Fear of the ocean transferred onto its most perfect predator. The culture of fear, later cemented by cinema, completely erased the older symbolism of reverence and balance. Today, as science increasingly understands shark biology, we are slowly returning to that lost spirituality. It turns out that the shark is not only a symbol of survival, but also a guardian of the ecosystem. Its presence maintains the balance of entire oceans. It is almost a modern reinterpretation of ancient myths. The shark becomes a protector of the world once more, only now in the language of ecology rather than prayer. One could say that myths have not died. They have merely changed form. When a modern marine biologist studies the movements of sharks in the ocean, they are like an ancient priest reading signs in the water. Both attempt to understand the same mystery, the power that lies in the depths, not in fear but in harmony. And perhaps therein lies the paradox. What humans once considered a monster was from the beginning a guardian of balance, one that humans themselves had forgotten.